You know that feeling, right? Waking up in the middle of the night? It has to be one of the most frustrating things, especially as we get a little older. You feel that jolt of awareness, and suddenly, sleep just feels a million miles away. But what if I told you there's a clear, science-backed playbook for getting right back to sleep? Okay, let's get into it.
Welcome to SciSage, where everything is simple. Today, we're going to break down exactly what to do, and maybe more importantly, what not to do, the next time you find yourself staring at the ceiling in the dead of night.
So, picture this. It's 3 a.m., you're wide awake, your mind is already starting to race, isn't it? You can feel that pressure to get back to sleep building. So what do you do now? Well, the answer isn't just try harder. It's actually about understanding what's going on inside your own body. And that naturally brings us to our first section. Why do we even wake up in the first place? Because, before we can fix the problem, we've really got to understand the cause. And it turns out, it's a completely natural process. Here's the simple truth. As we get older, our sleep changes. That's just a fact. We spend less and less time in that really deep, restorative sleep. And that just makes us much lighter sleepers, so we're more easily woken up by little disturbances, sometimes even ones happening inside our own bodies. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The main culprit for waking up is your body's own thermostat. See, your core temperature usually peaks around 10:30 p.m. Then it starts to drop. And that drop is the key that starts the engine for sleep by releasing melatonin. But look what happens between 1 and 3 in the morning. Your temperature bottoms out and then starts to rise again. That subtle rise is a biological signal to shift into a lighter stage of sleep. And bam, that's the exact moment you're most likely to pop awake. Okay, so now that we know why we're waking up, let's talk about what most people do next and why it's a total trap. This section is all about the 4 things you have to try and avoid. But before we even get to that list, you need to know the single most important number in this entire explainer, 60, as in 60 beats per minute. To actually fall into a state of unconsciousness, which is, sleep, your heart rate generally needs to get down to 60 BPM or even a little below. So the goal is simple. Everything we do from here on out is aimed at getting that number down, not up. And that brings us to the 4 big sleep traps. Every single one of these actions, looking at the clock, checking your phone, getting out of bed, flipping on a light, it directly works against our goal of lowering that heart rate. Let's break down exactly why. Let's start with the clock. It seems so harmless, right? But just look at the cycle. The second you see the time, you immediately do that mental math. Oh man, I only have 3 hours left to sleep. That instantly triggers anxiety about all the sleep you're losing. And what does anxiety do? Boom. It floods your body with stress hormones and sends your heart rate soaring. It's the exact opposite of what we need. And the other hazards? They're just as bad. Your phone's light literally tells your brain, hey, it's daytime. Getting out of bed to go to the bathroom, especially if you're not even sure you have to go, physically raises your heart rate just by moving from lying down to standing up. And turning on a bright light? That's like sounding a foghorn to your internal body clock, screaming that the day has already begun. All right, that's enough of what not to do. Let's get positive. Let's build your new sleep toolkit filled with practical, easy techniques you can use the moment you wake up to gently guide your body right back to sleep. The first tool in our kit is one of the most powerful, and it's called 4-7-8 breathing. It's incredibly simple. You just breathe in gently through your nose for a count of 4. Then you hold that breath for 7 seconds. And then you exhale slowly, really slowly, through your mouth for a full 8 seconds. This simple act forces your body to use your entire lung capacity, which sends a signal to your heart that it can calm down and doesn't have to work so hard. Now, listen, don't get discouraged if your heart rate doesn't immediately drop down to 60. That's not the point, and it's not realistic for everyone. The goal here is just progress, not perfection. Just focusing on lowering your heart rate by maybe 10 or 15 beats from wherever it is, that alone can make a huge difference in your ability to relax and just drift off. So what if your mind is still racing even after the deep breathing? Try this fantastic distraction technique. Instead of counting sheep, count down from 300, but subtract 3 each time. So 300, 297, 294. It's just complex enough that it requires some focus, which stops your brain from spiraling into anxious thoughts, but it's also just boring enough to lull you towards sleep. A third technique you can try targets physical tension you might not even realize you're holding on to. You start with your toes. Consciously tense those muscles for about 30 seconds, and then just release them completely. Really feel that wave of relaxation. Then you move up to your calves, your thighs, and so on, all the way up your body. What you're doing is actively teaching your body the difference between being tense and being relaxed, showing it how to consciously just let go. Now for our final section. And honestly, this might be the most important takeaway of all. This is your safety net. It's a concept that can completely remove the anxiety of being awake in the first place. It's called non-sleep deep rest, or NSDR. And here's the absolute key. Even if you don't actually fall back asleep, you are not failing. As long as you are just lying there quietly in the dark, breathing slowly, keeping that heart rate low, your body and your mind are still getting massive restorative benefits. You are still resting. Get this. Sleep specialists estimate that for every hour you spend in this state of deep rest, you get benefits that are equivalent to about 20 minutes of actual sleep. Just knowing this is so powerful, isn't it? It takes all the pressure off. You're no longer just wasting time being awake. You're actively recovering energy. So the next time you wake up at 3 a.m., you won't be starting from a place of panic. You're going to have a plan. You'll have a toolkit, and you'll have the reassurance that even just resting is a win. So the only question left is, tonight, what will be your new plan?